when we are going through postpartum, we realize that as women we go through a lot. It's a big transition. There's struggles that we go through emotionally, mentally, physically. There's a lot of things that we anticipate, and then there's some things we do not anticipate. But there is one thing that most of us don't truly think about or anticipate, and that is how our spouses deal with the transition of being husband to now being a father. That is a big transition for them too. Now they're not going through the same struggles as us, and I'm not saying that minimize what we go through, but to also consider what our spouses are going through. There is this one woman who was like venting and voicing out how her husband is distracted most of the time, is always on the phone, and that they get into arguments because she feels like she does everything in the house and she doesn't get any help. And he has a interesting schedule, but when he's home he is not present, and they don't seem to communicate effectively because every time they talk to each other they are arguing. And normally this happens a lot when we are going through postpartum, is that the spouse is going out and working and is the sole breadwinner of the family, especially if it was both of you working. And she even said that they had agreed before having kids that she would be a stay-at-home mother, and she feels like now it seems like it's something that is against her, like he is resentful of it. And that happens, that men don't know how to deal with change sometimes the way that we do it, or they don't know how to voice what they're going through the way that we voice what we're going through. They were not created like us. We are emotional beings. God created us emotional, and that is not a weakness. Even though society tries to make it seem like it is a weakness, it is a strength. The Lord favors us women. He sees us as very precious beings, and we are we're like rare rubies. So we are very important. And sometimes we forget that. Especially when we see, submit to your husband. And something I pointed out to the lady that was venting, is that, she's overstimulated. Your hormones are all over the place. And it is hard when you feel like you're not getting any support and it feels like your husband is closed off. And when this happens, unfortunately, us women have to be that change that we want to see in the household. And I know we don't want to hear that because, we're in the rights that, we need help. We need a lot of support. We just gave birth to a human being and our bodies are going through so much and we have to deal with it. But at the same time, this is a time where we have to take our eyes off of ourselves and reach out to our spouses and ask them what they're going through, because sometimes we don't realize they're dealing with a lot outside the home. When they're out in the workplace, they are carrying a lot on their shoulders too. They're carrying the weight of their job and also carrying the weight of, providing for the family, carrying the weight of being a leader in the household, because the Lord, expects, the men to lead in the household. And it's not to make it seem like the women are less than, because being a supportive role in the relationship in the household is actually the most important. And I'll put it this way. A house, you see a house, before you have this big, beautiful house that everybody admires and sees, what is at the beginning is the foundation. The foundation is the most important thing. But when the house is finished, you don't see the foundation and the bones of the house, the structure of the house. You don't think of that, right? We think of the final product, the house. It's so beautiful. But for that house to be beautiful and strong and to fulfill its purpose is because it has to have a strong foundation, a good foundation. So in the household, us women, we are that foundation. We set the tone in the house. We're the homemakers, and that is very important so that, the men can thrive. When we fall apart, they fall apart. It affects them. So I just think of Proverbs 16:24. It says, right, gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. So, Positive and thoughtful speech brings joy to others. Okay. And then sweet to the soul, kind speech has an uplifting and encouraging effect on a person's inner spirit and emotional well-being. And healing to the bones, it serves a therapeutic purpose. So our words are very powerful. So what I suggested is that, to approach her husband and be like, find out what's going on with him, and not to come as, wanting to be right or to tell him what he's not doing, but to really come with compassion and grace and kindness, and just to find out what is really going on with him. And sometimes men need space to deal with the change. And also, to write a list of what are the things you're struggling with in the household now that you have the baby, that he can help you with. And also ask for his suggestion with that list. Is there things he suggests that maybe you don't need to make a priority every day, and maybe put off for when he has days off and he can help you with the baby, and you can do those things on those days. Involve him in the process of being a homemaker and getting the flow back into the house, bringing the joy into the house. But again, you have to make the change, and also include God in it. Submit those issues to the Lord. And this is a time where you just have to learn to trust in the Lord, rely on him, ask for his peace, and rest in his presence. Because a lot of people, say that, oh, why do we have to tell God stuff when he already knows? He does see, he does know what is going on, he hears everything. But the action of you submitting your issues, your troubles to the Lord, that's you showing the Lord that you trust him. You're not being passive with the relationship we have with him. You're actually being active, and you're showing him that you trust him. And this activates your faith. And you know that the Lord is pleased when you have faith. And when you trust and, you activate your faith, the Lord starts moving, in your situation. And also to pray for, to soften his heart and your heart too. If you guys have been so used to arguing and pointing out who's wrong, who's right, it hardens the heart. And this is a time for you to just ask the Lord to soften both your hearts, and to ask the Lord how to approach the situation with different lens, and to also be a doer of the word. So just think of Proverbs 16:24 and just come with encouragement, with kindness, to the situation. And it's not going to change overnight. And that's where patience comes in. You start, learning to have peace and rest in the midst of the storm, because this is when all of this is cultivated: trust, faith, peace, understanding, rests in the Lord. Is all cultivated during the storm. It's not cultivated when things are all great. We have the example of Jesus sleeping while there was a storm. So this is an opportunity for you to learn to submit to the Lord, your struggles and what you're going through, and to, be a doer of the word and set the tone of the household, and then just watch how things start to turn around. It's easy for us to just come as like, we are right, we're going through this. They need to see the way that we see it. But, this is time for you to just have grace, and, hopefully that is helpful. I know it's hard, it's easier said than done, but that's why we need the Lord, because we can't do it all in our strength. Hey guys, so I am here because I'm happy to announce that I have a one-on-one coaching program for women who are going through postpartum, or who are preparing for postpartum, for their postpartum journey. And why I have this program, because this is a huge life transition. It is the biggest blessing that you'll ever receive in your life. And it is a time where you're full of joy and gratitude for the bundle of joy that you have. But at the same time, it is also a time where you experience some challenges. Believe it or not, becoming a mother, whether you have a lot of support or you're doing it alone, is very challenging. And some of the challenges that as women go through during postpartum, we don't speak out loud because of fear of being judged, being shamed, or being misunderstood. And some of those challenges that we face in our postpartum journey is grief, disappointment, feeling lost, feeling stuck, feeling isolated, and also dealing with anxiety and postpartum depression. This is also a time where you just need that extra support, where you can talk to somebody that can help you and encourage you through the transition, and guide you and coach you during this time. How I know this is because I went through that, being a new mom, having two kids 2 years apart, having to navigate being a mom and rebuilding and regaining myself. And this is why I have this 12-week program called Rebuild and Restore, because this is a time where we are going to work together, rebuilding your confidence, peace, identity, restoring the person that you feel that you lost, and knowing that you didn't lose yourself, but you gained more of yourself. This is a time where you actually now have more to offer the world, not just your baby or your kids, but you have more to offer in your life. You're gaining more in your life. You will work on mindset, emotional well-being, your environment, your lifestyle, nutrition, exercise. This is not where I will be creating a rigid workout plan or meal plan. This is where we will work together to help you recover safely and do things that work out for your life. All plans will be catered to your individual needs. My goal is that by the end of this experience, you are on the road of embodying the woman in Proverbs 31 verse 25, which says, she is clothed with strength and she laughs without fear of the future. It means being a woman with the capacity to endure hardships and overcome life's challenges, that you're able to have a state of calm, optimism, confidence, because your life is grounded in faith rather than circumstances. If this is something that you would be interested in investing in for yourself, you can book a free call with me so we can discuss how we can work together in those 12 weeks. Link will be posted below in the description box or in the comment section, depending on which platform you see this video. I hope to see you and have a great day.